Today is the 17th time this committee has met to discuss some form of repeal of the EPA's Clean Air Act authority during this Congress, and the House has acted so far on Republican bills to, 1, prevent EPA from reducing the amount of oil we have to import from hostile nations, 2, preventing EPA from reducing the toxic mercury, dioxin, and other chemicals that spew out of power plants and other industrial sources, 3, prevent EPA from reducing harmful global warming pollution, 4, Republicans have even felt compelled to prevent EPA from promulgating fictitious regulations to reduce levels of farm, fairy, or pixie dust. And why did the Republican majority do that? Because when unemployment is spiking, Republicans tell us EPA regulations, even the non-existent ones, are going to kill jobs. But that storyline is getting harder and harder to sell as the economy improves and improves and improves month after month after month, and we see positive job numbers. So what are the Republicans doing to try to convince Americans anew of the reason why EPA must be stopped now? Well, they shake up the Etch-A-Sketch and tell Americans that the new reason to limit and postpone EPA's authority under the Clean Air Act is to stop gas prices from spiking. And just like the committee's earlier efforts to repeal non-existent regulations to reduce levels of farm or fairy dust, this new bill also requires a trip to fantasy land. Ms. McCarthy, isn't it true that the EPA has no plans to propose an expensive standard to lower the Reid vapor pressure in gasoline, and that what you will propose is likely to cost only 1 penny per gallon?
That's correct.
Isn't it true that there are also no rules currently in development to reduce global warming pollution from refineries?
That is correct.
And just so I'm clear, are any of the rules that this bill delays or weakens the reason why gas prices are so high?
No.
So when Americans pull up to the pump these days, there's no question that it's stressful. They see their paychecks trickling away right in front of them, and they can't understand why these prices are spiking. But let me just say this to all the members if they want to hear it. This is not about Obama. This is about OPEC, oil companies, and Wall Street speculators. Now, what does the majority want to do about those things? 1, should we deploy the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to send a signal to Wall Street speculators? Republican answer, no, absolutely not. That would interfere with the free market that OPEC totally manipulates in their meetings in Vienna. Number 2, should we fully fund the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, the police on the beat for Wall Street speculation? The Republicans say, no, we're going to kneecap that agency, keep the cops off the beat, and try to stop the rulemakings on manipulation, on position limits, on the kinds of power that the agency would need. 3, the Democrats say, keep the oil and gas that's drilled for on public lands in the United States. Don't send it overseas. How do the Republicans vote? No, send that oil overseas. Send that gas overseas. So, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to lowering gas prices, you know, when you say to them, hey, let's make sure the Keystone Pipeline oil stays in the United States, the Republicans say, oh no, we're voting no on that. And you did all vote no to keep the Keystone oil in the United States. We had that vote out in the House floor 3 weeks ago. So this crocodile tear concern about consumers and trying to blame the EPA when you have within your own power right now to do something about gasoline prices is so clear in terms of what the goal is. It's not about Obama, it's about OPEC, oil companies, Wall Street manipulators and speculators, and we see no activity on the side of the Republicans in taking any actions in this area. Moreover, just for the record, there are 1/3 more rigs, floating rigs, that are going to be in the Gulf of Mexico this summer than there were before the oil spill. So this is a very bad way that Obama has of having a plot to undermine oil drilling in our country. If 1/3 more floating rigs are going to be in the Gulf of Mexico this summer than there were before the actual BP historical worst environmental spill in the United States. And by the way, each one of those CEOs should be sitting down here. You want to investigate the mess we've got in the country? BP should be sitting next to Halliburton, and we should have them under oath, and they should be explaining why they lied or were incompetent in saying only 1,000 barrels per day were going into the Gulf of Mexico. I thank the Chairman.